Hey guys, Ivan here with the Old School Labs, and in this video we're gonna do something interesting. So Mr. Olympia is approaching and I was thinking, is there gonna be a surprise? Is there gonna be a bodybuilder that can surprise us all by cracking the top 6 or maybe even winning the Mr. Olympia? And what are the potential future bodybuilding champions? Pro show winners, top 6 Mr. Olympia competitors and so on. And before we actually get to the current young, good potential bodybuilders, we're gonna go back in time. Just not too much, just a few years, a couple of years, back in the, let's call it the Louis Marco era, when Louis Marco used to make videos. I mean, he was on the head of a bodybuilding scene. Everybody followed his videos. His videos got hundreds of thousands of views, and even back then YouTube wasn't as popular as it was today, so that was mind-blowing. And it was all about Louis Marco, really. I think Louis Marco single-handedly, actually with help of us, the fans, created the classic physiques division. I don't know how young you guys are or have you been watching his videos back then, but it was literally like this. He said, if fans so much want a classic physique, if everybody is hating bubble guts, why don't you create another division that is gonna be called, I think he said classic bodybuilding or classic physique or something like that. And the day after, or a couple of days after, the IBB announced a creation of this division, 2016. Actually, it was announced in 2015, so that was how many, 5 years ago. And Louis Marco basically created it. Anyways, I'm getting off the subject. So during those times, we had a couple of really good bodybuilders that were real potential threats to the Mr. Olympia throne. So who were they? Well, for example, Josh Lenartowicz. Josh was an amazing bodybuilder, a young bodybuilder at the time. But that was about 5, 6, 7 years ago. He got older now. What happened to him? He got a head tumor. Not a brain tumor, but he got a tumor on his head, which definitely disabled him from training hard, from doing bodybuilding properly. He had horrible headaches, he had a couple of surgeries, and he is not a bodybuilder that he once was, so that was an unfulfilled potential. He did not, become Mr. Olympia or anything like that. He pretty much retired. Not officially, but yeah, he retired. And you guys know how these bodybuilders are. They retire 1 year and they make a comeback next year, or at least a couple of years later. I'm sure we're gonna see Josh again on the stage. Is he the potential to win the Mr. Olympia? I don't know, I don't see that happening. His physique doesn't look that good right now. I don't know if he can regain everything back and even make more progress. Maybe, we'll see. Nathan Diasha. This guy's nickname is actually The Prophecy. And back in the day, Louis Marco talked about him, thinking that he's gonna be maybe a potential Mr. Olympia winner. That didn't happen. And New York Pro 2017, that was a good look for him. He was big, he was full. Last time we saw him on stage, it was British Grand Prix, the comeback of this show. He was smaller. He was smaller but more conditioned. Still not a Mr. Olympia winning potential. Not like that. And even with this weird looking long torso, I don't think he can ever become Mr. Olympia. So sign him off. Justin Compton. Justin Compton was a huge potential. He had everything, genetic-wise. He was destined to be a Mr. Olympia winner, but he had health problems, and it is debatable what was that. I have some info that he had kidney issues, some really bad kidney issues, and that he had an injection that got infected, and it messed up his entire body pretty much because of that infection. So he had kidney problems, and I don't know what exactly it was, but he retired. And I do not think he's gonna come back. Even if he decided to come back, he will still have to gain a lot more muscle, and with his health condition, that's probably not the best idea, and I'm sure he's not gonna do it. And that's 3 out of 4. We had another bodybuilder who unfortunately passed away. It was Dallas McCarver, and this guy had a huge potential. He was a massive bodybuilder at a very young age. He actually died at the age of 26. His heart failed. And if you check a video of autopsy, you can check it on my channel, even bodybuilding channel, I reviewed it. His whole body was a mess. It was just ruined. It was only a matter of time when he's gonna die. Yeah, he had a heart problem genetically, and that is why he died of a heart attack, but the autopsy showed that he had a thyroid cancer as well. Yeah, early stages. And he had organomegaly, which is insane growth of all organs. It was just crazy big organs. It was just a matter of time when he would die. So that's those 4 bodybuilders that Louis Marco used to talk about. Then later, we had a couple of more. Actually, I forgot Big Ramy. Big Ramy wasn't as young as these guys, but he was pretty young when he came up, and everybody expected him to be the Mr. Olympia, and still are. I mean, he's still very good. He was second at the Mr. Olympia. Nobody from these guys got that high. So if he brings the conditioning for once, he can win it. But he's not a young guy anymore. As far as the young guys who achieved big success recently, we're gonna start with Luke Sando, who also unfortunately passed away. At first, the talk was that it was a suicide, but apparently somebody from his family posted on his IG that it was a heart failure after all. So really, it doesn't matter. He's no longer among us. He was a huge potential. He could have become Mr. Olympia if he lived. I mean, he was third at the Arnold Classic. Guys, that's a huge success. And he was only 30 years old when he passed away. So, Luke Sando, a potential Mr. Olympia winner, didn't live to see his potential fulfilled. If we go back 4 years, at the Arnold Classic 2016, we saw a 21-year-old Cody Montgomery. Cody, I think he turned pro when he was 20, and he competed at the Arnold Classic the year later. That was his pro debut, I believe. This guy was an absolute crazy teen bodybuilder. So he was a freak when it came to mass. He never had a prettiest structure. So now, when he's 26, he doesn't have the structure, and he's not that big. So I don't see him being a potential Mr. Olympia winner. Regan Grimes. Regan Grimes is somebody who is training very safely, so I don't see him getting injured, and I don't think he's pushing it too hard. I think this guy is a genetic freak. He went to Kuwait once, and they were pushing him too hard, and he realized he doesn't want to do that. He was over 300 pounds. He decided he doesn't want to push his body to his absolute limits because of the health. And he came back to his home, and now he's training. You know, he's making progress easily, slowly. Jay Cutler actually predicted him becoming the Mr. Olympia winner, and Jay Cutler also predicted Phil Heath becoming the Mr. Olympia winner. So Jay Cutler knows. He can actually recognize potential. So let's believe it. Or you don't have to, but I do. I do believe Jay Cutler, and I think he has a good eye for bodybuilding, and I think Regan has the potential. Now, he trains easy. He pumps a lot of blood in his muscle. He is strong. Don't get me wrong. He's strong like a house, but he doesn't train to his limits. He always stops 5 reps shy to failure. And that's why he doesn't have the graininess in his physique. But because of that style of training, he has a good mind-to-muscle connection, and that's why he has an amazing back. And overall, healthy and fresh-looking physique. And bodybuilding is a marathon, as everybody says. It's a game of consistency. And this guy, Regan, with this tempo, with this kind of training and everything about bodybuilding that he's doing, the way he's doing it, he's gonna prevail. He's gonna stay there, and eventually, I'm sure he's gonna achieve great success. Top 5, top 3 Mr. Olympia potential easy, if you ask me. Even Mr. Olympia winner, for sure. In the next, 10 years? I mean, he's like 26, 27 right now. And, the golden age of bodybuilders is like past 33. That's when you get that maturity. So he has 6 more years to get to that and then to reign for who knows how many years. I can see that happening. Now let's mention some guys that are not pros, like Nick Walker. This guy is an absolute alien. He fell from another planet like Goku. I don't know, this guy is an absolute freak. He is 1 year older than me, and he's like 3 times my size, at least. Look at this. This is absolute madness. The only thing that I'm worried about are his legs. These veins right here, they don't look healthy. There's gotta be some condition. I don't know if it's gonna cause some serious health problems in the future. If it doesn't, if it is normal, I'm sure it's not normal, but if he can function normally like this, with his legs looking like this, I'm sure this guy is gonna be a top threat. Do I see him winning the Mr. Olympia? No. He has the size already. He can't really grow that much more, but I don't like his structure too much. He's an absolute beast, a freak. With this freakiness, he can eventually crack the top 6 in Mr. Olympia, in my opinion. Talking about freaks, there is this guy, and this guy is a really young guy. He's 22 years old, guys. 22. This is a baby. This is a kid, only 2 years younger than me, and he looks 5 times bigger than me. Okay, I said Nick was looking 3 times, so this guy's looking at least 2.5 times bigger than me. Anyways, he's a huge bodybuilder, 22-year-old Russian bodybuilder. His name is Vitaly Ugolnikov, if I pronounce this properly, and he is an absolute beast. But he's a young guy. He's too young. This happened so many times before when you saw guys that young do well or look insane in their teen years, but then later something happens, and we can't really predict that far into the future, and we don't know if this guy's gonna lose his passion, lose his health, unfortunately, hopefully not, something like that, you know what I'm saying? So we'll see what happens, but does he have the potential, growing muscle-wise and conditioning and also structure-wise? Yeah, he has everything. He has all the potential that he needs. It's gonna be just about luck and his persistence. We'll see. This reminds me of another teen freak bodybuilder from Russia as well, Alexei Lesukov. If you guys remember him, he was a star maybe 10 years ago, and he was a teen bodybuilder. I don't think we ever saw a teen looking this big. I'm not sure exactly about his age, but he was around 20. And we saw him, and everybody thought he's going to become the Mr. Olympia. Why wouldn't you? He had everything, and he was an absolute mass monster. You can find his Instagram right now, and you can see that he doesn't look anything special. He pretty much stayed the same. He maybe even gave up on bodybuilding. I don't know what happened, but a potential unfulfilled. Patrick Moore, top 10 at the Mr. Olympia 2019. Not a youngster. People think he's young, but he's not a young guy. He's like 35 or 36 at this point. But in bodybuilding years, he is young. He turned pro not so long ago, and he doesn't have too many years of competing under his belt. So he still has a lot more room to progress. And I can see Patrick Moore being one of the top guys if he eventually adds the mass. He doesn't believe in bulking too hard. He believes in adding a little muscle, a little bit by the time, and working on details. So that's why you're not gonna see him make huge progress. But if he adds enough muscle on right places, that's probably gonna be even better scenario for him. And we'll see what happens in the end. I can see him cracking the top 6. I mean, he already cracked top 10. Why not top 6 eventually? I mean, the old guys have got to retire eventually, and somebody has to take their place. Sergio Oliva Jr. In bodybuilding years, he is fresh and young, but he's not a young guy also. He's in his 30s, maybe mid-30s. But I do see this guy also placing very well, and he has been making progress year after year. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with him in a couple of years. I'm sure he's gonna make a leap, and I'm sure he can crack the top 10 at the Mr. Olympia at least. Then we also have, this is the biggest potential, if you ask me, of all of them. Hunter Labrada, who just won his pro debut at Tampa Pro. He looked absolutely outstanding. He looked absolutely amazing. Now, Hunter, he trains heavy. He trains heavy with a lot of intensity, unlike Regan. So for that reason, he may get injured. If he doesn't, he's going to bring the graininess. And I can see him making progress faster than Regan for that reason. He was able to beat Ian Valliere, but Ian is not an older guy. He has been competing for a long time. He turned pro, I think, when he was 22, and he has been competing consistently. Now he's 29. So Ian also, good potential. Not the prettiest structure, but an absolute monster. And I can see him also doing really well at the Mr. Olympia. Not winning it really, but he can place pretty high. Talking about Hunter, in my previous video from yesterday, I'm sure you have seen Keon Pearson standing next to Hunter Labrada, not being dwarfed at all. This guy is going to compete this year at the 212 division, but in the future, who knows, maybe he transfers to the open division, because he's gonna keep growing. And even though he's short, I'm sure eventually, very soon, he's gonna get over that weight limit. 212, that's too little for him. This guy is very young. He's like 24, I believe. He's gonna be an absolute beast. He's gonna be crazy big when the time comes. So that's gonna be it. That's gonna be all the bodybuilders, all the young bodybuilders that are rising stars that I can think of. If you guys think I forgot somebody, there are a lot of potential bodybuilders that didn't succeed from the 90s. I'm sure you guys know about them. You can mention down below if you have any ideas. Or some young guys from today that I forgot to mention. I'm sure I have. Why? Because I'm on 0 carbs today. Guys, I'm prepping for a show. And once again, as I said before, you can follow me on my Instagram. Type evenbodybuilding_ if you want to follow my prep and if you want to interact with me. This video that I'm making right now was suggested to me by one of my followers. His name is Oshan Collins. I'm sure I butchered his name, but thank you, man, for this suggestion. It was a good suggestion, so I made this video. And if you guys want to interact with me, I reply to everyone. If you have a good question, just don't make it too long because you don't have time to read a whole book that you wrote. Just be concise, ask me whatever. I will reply to every single comment, actually every single question. So go to IG, follow me, suggest videos. I'm going to make them if I like the ideas. And that's gonna do it for this video, guys. If I forgot somebody, please tell me down below in the comment section. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and please subscribe for more bodybuilding videos like this. All the best, guys, and keep it old school.